All right. So I guess you guys can hear me now. So I'm just going to get on to this Aboriginal word because I keep getting a lot of comments from you guys telling me I'm saying the wrong word. And Aboriginal means away and from the original and all this other stuff. And, that's not the case. And I did a post um, probably back in October about it on Facebook and Instagram, and I broke down the etymology of Aboriginal because it's something that was used in the treaties and it's also was used in old history books and old documents, old records. They refer to us as Indians and Aboriginals, and I notice that a lot of people have a problem with those words, but it's very important to keep those words. In the lexicon, so to speak, because when you're looking at the old documents and in the libraries, like I do, you go visit the libraries like I do, you're gonna see Aboriginal, you're gonna see Indians. Those are the keywords to search for when you're searching the card catalogs of these libraries and of these archives. So I'm about to break it down in a minute. You said no apology necessary. It's holiday weekend. Yeah, it's a holiday weekend, and I've been sick for the last couple days, but I'm gonna come on for y'all because a lot of y'all keep saying you're missing my live feeds and you don't get to interact with me. Will Morgan, you said why are so many Morgans in Nottoway County? I'm not exactly sure. Not sure. Um, could have something to do with people who are related to J.P. Morgan. And Morgan is an elite family. They could have had family members living out there, plantations. I'm not really familiar with the Morgan surname. But anyways, we're going to get into the etymology, excuse me, of Aboriginal. I know some of y'all keep making fun of my accent, saying I'm country, I'm not pronouncing words right, and sometimes I'm joking and y'all not getting the joke. So I don't know what to say about that. So let me start to screen share so you guys can see the actual etymology from these online dictionaries. It's not me making up stuff. So, um, I don't know how to share application with. Okay, hold on. I don't know what y'all seeing now, but I see the chat room. Rashak, yeah, you said my accent is very feminine and beautiful. Thank you. I'm from the suburbs and my family from the country and the city, so it's a little mixture. I lived in Virginia and Georgia, so got a little Georgia twang in there with the Virginia um, accent, Algonquian accent mixed in there too. So, okay, I hope y'all can see. So, I just loaded a few things up. And this is just the Google Aboriginal etymology, and you can see right now that Aboriginal comes from Latin Aborigines, English Aborigines. Mid 17th century definition is original inhabitants, Aborigine. Okay, let's see. We can go to the actual. Did I go to the etymology page? We can click it for. Well, that's for Aborigine. Let's just see what it says for Aborigine. See, this is where everyone's getting mixed up here. I see it. But right here it says the Latin phrase aborigine means literally from the beginning. Aborigines, first inhabitants, first ancestors of Romans, person, animal, or plant that has been in a country or region from the earliest time. Okay, so let me see. Let's go back. Let's see. This is Webster's dictionary since 1828. Aboriginal, being the first or earliest known of its kind present in a region. Aboriginal rocks, Aboriginal forests, of or relating to the people who have been in a region from the earliest time of or relating to Aborigines. Okay, right here. Specifically, often capitalized of or relating to the Indigenous peoples of Australia, the Aborigines. And it's an adjective and it's also a noun. And some of you guys are mixing the prefix ab with the preposition ab. And I see that's where the confusion is coming in. Aboriginal, this is the Oxford Dictionary, inhabiting or existing in a land from the earliest times or from before the arrival of colonists, Indigenous, relating to Australian Aborigines or their languages. Noun, an Aboriginal inhabitant of a place, a person belonging to one of the Indigenous peoples of Australia, any of the numerous Australian Aboriginal languages. All right. And again, from the Latin Aborigines, original inhabitants. Inhabitants. Excuse me. Mouth's still dry. I told y'all I had a cold all week, so this thing on crazy snow was getting on my nerves. I'm on the East Coast, y'all. All right, this is I don't know what this is. So yes, Duhami. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Aboriginal definition pertaining to things or land or person or members of a race which are indigenous to or first occupied a specific territory. Um, Inhabiting or existing in a land from the earliest times or from the arrival of the colonists. First or earliest, so far as history or science gives record, the earliest known inhabitants as distinguished from subsequent European colonists. Aboriginal peoples of Canada includes the Indian, Inuit, and Métis peoples of Canada. Organic political and cultural entities that stem historically from the original peoples of North. Okay, original. Do you need any more definitions? Aboriginal, the Cambridge Dictionary, having lived or existed in a place since the earliest known time. The, the exhibit was an Aboriginal, the exhibit was of Aboriginal plants of this area. Aborigine. Okay, we're talking about English. Um, I believe ab, the prefix in Dutch means away from and not of. But we're not speaking Dutch, we're speaking English. Okay, and it's a preposition in English pertaining to this word. Okay, the objective, again, this is dictionary.com, of relating to or typical of Aborigines, Aboriginal customs, original or earliest known native, indigenous, the Aboriginal people of Tahiti. Noun is Aboriginal, right? Aboriginality now, Aboriginally, adverb, okay? Endemic, autochthonous, primordial. That's what Aboriginal is. More relating words: primitive, ancient, primary, native, original, endemic, first, earliest, indigenous, primeval, primordial. Okay, that's what Aboriginal is. Okay, here's the etymology. We just saw this one. Aboriginal adjective, 1660s. First, earliest, existing from the beginning, especially in reference to inhabitants of lands colonized by Europeans. From Aborigines, the specific Australian sense is attested from 1820. The noun meaning an original inhabitant in a is attested from 1760. Related originally, aboriginally or aboriginality, aboriginalism. We can dictionary. I'm sorry, I always mess that word up. Okay, and this is the preposition again. Once I said beginning at the time or location from. An example is available from today. Okay, and y'all using the wrong etymology, which is Dutch, as I showed you before, or German. And in German, ab means not attached to anything anymore, off. But we're not speaking German or Dutch, we're speaking English. Okay, so back to the screen. You said salute. Thank you, Aaron. Is there anything else y'all want? You have any questions? Let me stop sharing real quick, and then I can talk to y'all. LCO. You said Georgia, Virginia. Yes, I got that twang. I can speak professional too. But it's like I gotta make it. I say expert. I have to make an effort to not speak country, basically. He said, no problem with the way you talk. Thank you. Why do people say it's not the right word to call ourselves? Alabama Creek Boy. I don't know. It's certain people who are against the word, and then there's other people who, is controversy behind it. So they're like, I just don't want to deal with it per se. And then there's it's other words, indigenous. You call yourself American Indian, originee. That's one I like, originee. And I got this originee on from Shop Originally, but the camera's not working, so I can't. I don't know what's going on with that. Wish I can show y'all. I'm gonna try to get it working. Let me see if you got any more questions. But it's American. Yes, Aboriginal lowercase when you Aboriginal American. It's only capitalized when with the Australian Aborigines. Although we were called Aboriginal or Aborigines first, probably 100 years prior to them. It's means someone who was here on land first, original people. Exactly. Exactly, Mike. That's what I was trying to demonstrate. He said, King said, Peach family. Yep, Georgia Peach. Georgia Peach. Yes, America is Aboriginal, but the people were Israelites. I mean, that's your belief. That's your belief. Hope you get better. Thank you. So it's so windy in Virginia right now. Yes, it is. It's been like a windstorm or something. I'm thinking it's a hurricane, and it's crazy windy in GA too. Up- Full moon to teach each other. Yeah, wolf moon. The wolf moon is very powerful. Just think about the attributes of the wolf and how it relates to life. The wolves is something wolf is also the wolf pack. So the wolf is very adaptive to its environment, and the wolf can be anything. The wolf can be quiet, it can be passive, it can be aggressive, it can be provider and nurturer. Some of us embody that, like my have that have more versatile personality. What percent of the slaves were transported to the U.S. from Africa? I hope y'all are seeing this because my connection's acting weird. Um, the actual number of percentage of slaves or enslaved people who were transported from that they're giving us, which we're questioning, the actual numbers are around 252,000 people supposedly um, departed here. Um, Not departed here, arrived here in Africa. Those 252,000 was only around 33,000 women or females. And most of those captured people were children and teenagers or young men. And all of them weren't indigenous to Africa, I say. People from different places were taken to Africa, and certain places like Nigeria, the large port, and they shipped people out. And all of those people weren't their people. A lot of those people were foreigners, according to the African people themselves. Either people from other parts of Africa they were born with, people from Europe, American Indian slaves, and slaves from East India. You said Merriam-Webster's. I'm giving you the facts, sister. Yeah, they're giving the facts. Aboriginal meaning is only a problem to those wealthy elites who are not original to the planet. The way Aboriginal or the original dark-skinned people of the earth. That seems like what it is. David, you said you're a Westo. Shirimda. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. We'll call Indian in our language Aboriginal. Are you speaking of the Westo who were in Virginia and North Carolina, or a different Westo? You said you from Georgia too, girl. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna speak. I'm comfortable. I'm getting a lot of criticism about my accent, and it's not our people doing it. But I can see the people picture. There's no offense, non-Aboriginal people. It's just some people like to troll because they deal with the facts. You know. It's from Facebook. What baby doing? You said Tasha, is both your parents Indians? Yes, both parents are descended from Indigenous people. They're both. I have Powhatan sides, but my dad also has Nottaway ancestry. Normal versus abnormal. Original versus aboriginal. That's why people have a negative vibe. Yeah, you can't compare abnormal to aboriginal. Those are two different words. And ab is used in two different contexts. In basic English, you can say original, original, originate. That's basically the same word. There's nothing wrong with that. Delonzo, yeah, do people feel that we should get some kind of, I don't know what that is, salvati pay, like the Native Americans enslaved some of the original people? You mean like reparations? Is that what you're saying? Well, reparations are only given to nations. You're not a part of a nation. If you're calling yourself a Black or you're calling yourself an African American or an African, you're not going to get reparations. That's not a nationality. That's not a nation. You're saying you're a Nigerian and you're descended from Nigerians who, were enslaved and sent to America. Maybe you might be able to get reparations, but even still, those reparations are going to go to the Nigeria, not to individuals, unless you're a part of the. So, like Cherokee got reparations. If you're part of Cherokee Nation that's under the BIA, you're going to be getting some of those funds. If you're a Black, if you're an African American, if you're a white, if you're whatever, not a part of a nation, just a description word, you're not going to get reparations. Legally, it goes to nations. All right, I'm trying to read some of y'all comments. Markia, you said, do you know anything about the Seminole tribe? I know it's not an original tribe. Combination of the Muskogee Creek, Cherokee, Wale, and Yamasee. Um, yeah, basically Seminole is well, some of those are the same people. Muskogee Creek, Yamasee, Wale are the same people. Cherokee, that's a whole totally different group. But people from different nations who were enslaved down there in Florida, some of those people ran away and joined Yamasee groups or excuse me, Muskogee groups who were down in Florida and Georgia and down that area. I am not Seminole, so I can't speak as candidly about it as other people can, but I know that those people are related. And a lot of the Seminole, quote unquote, wars or the Yamasee wars had to do with those nations going to these plantations and getting their people back who were enslaved. A lot of people like to play on the story that runaway, random African slaves, not even, y'all don't even say what nation or country these people come from. You're not saying Yoruba slaves or Igbo slaves. You're just saying African slaves, which is kind of, I don't know. I just don't, it's kind of disrespectful to people because they have their own identity. But they're trying to say that they're comprised of mostly runaway slaves, which is not true. And a lot of those enslaved people were actually members of these nations who they were getting back. That's something that they don't say. And a big part of the wars, because a lot of treaties and deals were disrespected and not acknowledged and broken. And that's why those attacks had to happen, basically. Do you know about the word Niji? The letter J wasn't invented till 1500, so I always wonder about that. This Niji word again. Niji is actually a Jibwa word. It's a new word. It's recent. And Niji means friend in Ojibwa. So it was resurrected by the Native Americans, the youth movement that they had a little while ago. So it's not really pertaining to us, unless you're Ojibwa, unless you're Native American, and even the natives don't really use that word anymore. So I don't know where it's really coming from. It's not really an ancient word. It's not really our Aboriginal word. I'll say that. And you're right. The J just came in 1500s, but still, again, it's a transliteration. We didn't write a J. We didn't write an N. So it's whoever European person's interpretation of how our words sound. And even when you look at our languages here, sometimes the stuff that they're writing doesn't match how the word sounds. So, okay. All right, I'm trying to read all your words, but I'm coughing over here. I had to press mute. All right, I'm trying to read. Excuse me. You guys got any more questions? You said you're from Georgia, Savannah. Your family's from Tomochichi? Okay. Is that their tribe? Tomochichi? King, you said if you ever watched the movie Last of the Mohicans, all the cream colored people are children of raped black Aboriginal. The Taino would call them that. I mean, the Taino would they call them when they got here? So you're saying that the actors are mixed people? Is that what you're saying? In Last Mohicans? And probably most likely. Just like when you see so-called black roles, movie roles, a lot of times it's played by biracial people. Cosby Show's example, half the cast is biracial, but they're supposed to be playing um, so-called black people. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, nothing wrong with people being biracial. I'm just saying that that's just how casting is, and that's a whole nother subject. Some people getting a hookup because they're related to the casting director, so that their non-Aboriginal side is related to them. It's politics sometimes. All right, somebody said they Cherokee. Let me see. I'm trying to look for the questions. I'm sorry, I got a cough drop in my mouth. I'm coughing everywhere. A lot of questions today. David Howard said, that is true. Seminole is a group of different tribes, and Westo was one of them. Oh, I don't know about that. You got to watch that. Westo. Westo was a big enemy of the Seminoles, the Tuscaroras, the Nottoway, the Powhatan. Westos enslaved a lot of us and sold us to the Europeans. Them along with the Seneca Mingo tribes. They're really big in Chickasaw. They were really big in enslaving other Aboriginal people. And that was just business because a lot of them already had beef from the Great War before the Europeans got here. That's a whole nother story I'm going to get into another video. Do another part of the Mingo, history of the Mingo series. So stay tuned to that. Young Tebow, you said my voice is golden. Thank you. Just got this new microphone as a gift, so just using that. It sounds much clearer than my laptop speakers. Alonzo, you said your grandma is from Alabama. She's 98 years old. She always told me she's part Crow and Cherokee. Grandmother was speaking Indian to her when she was little. Oh, wow. Papa Dappa, you said, do you know about the Blackfoot Indians? My family is supposed to be. Ooh, that's another subject too. Y'all asking me the hard questions today. I've been having discussions with people, public and private, about this whole Blackfoot issue. And sometimes, I mean, really, Blackfoot is a misnomer. Let's just get down to that. Blackfoot is a misnomer. People of Algonquian and Siouan heritage would put black tar or coal on the bottom of their feet or on the soles of their moccasins, and the Europeans call them Blackfoot. And that's where the name comes from. And then there's a tribe in the Plains area, the Northern Plains area, which assumed that name as a tribe, but it's really a misnomer. There was no tribe called Blackfoot before the Europeans. So, but the Blackfoot tribe keeps that name because that name is used on treaties. So they're using it legally, but that's not their original name. But that would go back to a genealogy question too for Blackfoots. A lot of people on the East Coast are saying they have oral tradition or oral history of being Blackfoot. And when you have that, you're going to have to dig a little deeper in your genealogy to figure out what exact tribe or nation or ethnic group, language group that your people belong to. So there's a lot of people who are Siouan, who are Tuscarora or Chawa or different tribes in North Carolina, Virginia, Alabama, different areas like that, like Tar Heels and North Carolina Tar Heels or named after the Blackfoot Indians or the Indians who were called Blackfoot. Okay, somebody said their family runs back to the Katawoman tribe. Yeah, that's a Algonquian tribe, Katawoman. This woman was a word in our language. And it's pronounced Katawoman. It's kind of spelled like kata, but you gotta say kata. It depends on the accent. But we say Katawoman or Katawoman. So your family came from the Savannah River. I believe that's Kwale and Yamasee territory. But you have to do your genealogy. Excuse me, I had this cough drop. Got to do your genealogy at least back to when that area was first colonized to make sure that your family actually did originate in that area and they didn't migrate or come from somewhere else. How can I search and find my native history and records that aren't that great? Well, Johnny, I actually have a genealogy class on adinaacademy.com called Tracing American Indian and African American Genealogy. And in that class, excuse me, in that class, I'm showing people how to do just that. And if you go back looking through my videos, I actually did a video showing people how to search the roles for their ancestors, like for the people who are related to the 5 civilized tribes. And if you don't know, it's still and see if your ancestors pop up. A lot of people aren't sure. My ancestors aren't on there, so they weren't a part of there. Um, so I have no reason to look at because I know they're not from there. It says Seminole is a tribe that dates back 1,200 years. No, Seminole is more of a new tribe, and their name, the Seminole name, is pretty new. That's from my knowledge. TNT said, "You think Piraton people disappeared? We're still in the Chesapeake Bay, Northern Neck. Yep, sure is. Yep, I have family down there. We're all the way up here in Northern Virginia too. We got the Patawomac and other tribes, the Dogs and Zintico, who are up here. They flagging some of y'all comments because y'all spelling crazy on here. They slow down. You can take the time to spell check because it's messing up. Hey, Lorenzo. See a lot of y'all commenting about the Siouan tribes. Now, the Siouan tribes are interesting. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're of Asian descent. I see some of y'all saying that. Um, but I honestly haven't done a lot of research on them. I only know a little bit about the Monacans and the Sapani. You said drink some ginger and honey tea. Oh yeah, I've been drinking that all week, and for me, it's like towards the end of my cold. That's when I start losing my voice. When my voice starts getting bad, and I thought it was good enough to do this live feed for y'all because y'all been asking for it. So I'm just gonna eat my cough drops and push through it. Well, thank you though, Papa Dapper. You said So is Dan Calloway correct? Dan Calloway correct or not, in your opinion? Um, Correct about what? I'm not sure what you're asking. Just type it in there. I'll see it when I come to it. All right. Rashakya, excuse me. You said, I've read that both Northern and Southern American continents, Europeans enslaved Africans and Native Americans to pile up profits in the shortest time possible. Is that true? um, so you're asking if both Africans and Indigenous Americans were enslaved? Yes. Are the numbers that they're telling us true? No. Especially not on the African side. A lot of the people that they're calling African are East Indians, are from Europe, the indigenous Europeans, the Moors, and also American Indian, indigenous American people who were already shipped there prior to any type of African slave trade over here. So that's a lot of people are missing a lot of the Indian slave history. And that's why we have this, that's what the whole 60s movement came, that people were angry and Roots came out, even though Alex Haley is Cherokee descent. But the Roots came out and a lot of people are angry and like we're all African and I don't care how much whatever else I have in me, I'm African. This whole mentality came out. That's no disrespect to Africa and people who are proud of the African ancestry and African ancestry period. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is people have been saying those things in denial of their indigenous American roots. That's the only issue I have. And Alex Haley is a perfect example of that. He has known recent, well, he had known recent Cherokee ancestry that would he completely pushed to the side to make Roots. And Roots was not even a true story. It was fabrication based on a novel written by a Caucasian man or European man, pale man. So that's where a lot of that mentality is coming from. Uh, Do you know anything about the Moors when they came over here? Becky won't save this. It's a Moorish country. This is the second Morocco. Um, I don't. I can tell you about the Moors. I don't know about this being a second Morocco or this country being run by Moors until the Europeans came. But the Moors were here before the Europeans. The only reason why the Europeans know how to get here was because the Moors. And the Moors aren't just really, they're really not one group of people. They're different groups of people, different families, different clans. And their clans are, so those were the indigenous Europeans. And then there also were African Europeans who moved there and mixed with the indigenous population or the pale population as well. So it's different groups of Moors. Now, there was a group of Moors who came here prior to colonization. Um, they came to Mexico. They came to the East Coast. Powhatan have oral history of trading with the Moors and very small groups of mostly men lived out in the woods. And some of them married some of the indigenous women. And that's why certain surnames like Gibson and Moore. Certain, I think Patterson's one of them. I'm trying to think of some more surnames. Lincoln, different names like that. There are Moorish names, and they have a maternal indigenous line. So the children of those people would still be considered indigenous. I don't know about no empire over here. There's no oral tradition of an empire, and that's no offense to Moors who believe that. I have respect for everyone having their own opinion. But the tribes don't back up any type of foreign empire here. Now, some of the people who are claiming to be Moors, are they indigenous? Yes, through their bloodlines, but that doesn't mean that the indigenous people here were Moors, if that makes any sense. But yeah, we're just going off subject. We're really going off subject here. So, and I have the heritage from the European Moors in my family way down the line. So it's no disrespect to Moors. I just represent indigenous. My maternal line is indigenous for sure. Excuse me, y'all. I'm gonna be coughing in y'all ear. All right. Society of Untold Truth said, I am in African history class, which I am taught the truth instead of lies. I found out that the first beings that appeared in Africa was called the Homo sapiens. Also, the Amazons was in Africa first. Oh, that's great. You said the first. Those are the first African people. I said things. I keep thinking. I think of those hobbits and those, what you call them. I think of them as those apes things that they try to say we came from. I'm thinking of them as things. I I personally don't believe that theory about people coming from apes. And maybe we came from a more primitive state of humans, but I don't know about the ape stuff. And I haven't seen any indigenous people say that we came from apes. So it said Mingo Mungo, yeah, Mingo, Seneca, those people. That's the Mingos that y'all check out the videos, the history of the Mingos. I'm gonna have a new one soon. Dion said, I agree. Thanks for that. Who did we give prey to? I know a little bit about Joshua ben Joseph, but couldn't never find the real message. Well, you always sounded that way. What? Oh, I'm not sure. Joshua ben Joseph. I'm not sure. You're talking about Jesus? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. So if you're talking about, oh man, where's my book? I actually just got a book on American Indian spirituality that I haven't gotten into yet. Once I get more into the spirituality aspect, I'll be able to talk a little bit more to you guys about it. But from my knowledge, we believed in a great spirit that powers, and people call it a home. Um, then we also had sub deities as well. And the power didn't have one called Oki or Okius. And Oki was kind of like the male or devil counterpart. I wouldn't call it devil, but the Europeans called him a devil. He kind of balances the scales. He makes people accountable. He makes the boys into men. Um, he tests us. He challenges us. He protects us like a father. That's what Oki is. So that's just a little bit of the spirituality. Have you put anything on the public record of your lineage? I'm not sure what you mean. Talking about to the government? No, the government don't have my genealogy. I don't think so. can't wait to hear about the Great War between the tribes. I always thought the war had to do with the Mongoloids coming into town, trying to take over and throw, uh, overthrow tribes. Yes, that has something to do with it. But also we had groups breaking into fractions. The She people, or what the Europeans call Olmecs, Mayans, or whatever, they're kind of lumping a lot of people together. Some of the people who mixed. Um, but that group of people, well, I have to make a whole nother video for y'all for that. But basically, they migrated out of Mexico and into to the south. I think a couple of groups went to the south west, but most went to the south, became the mound builders, and then from the mound builders, they became the Muskogee, the Iroquois or Haudenosaunee, and the Algonquins or the Anishinaabe, and Siouan too. I believe the Siouan are a part of that group. So basically, now if you guys watch the Luthia, I'm saying the British way, or the Louisa, we might say Louisa because of the Z, but it's Luthia video. If you search the first, what do you say, the first Americans were Aborigines, or first Americans were Black. I'm not sure what it's. If you search first Americans were Aborigines, it should come up. But it's a video about the finding of Luthia, which is founded in Brazil, in South America. South America and the Caribbeans and Canada are considered America, or the Americas. So she's still American, but they found a skull perfectly intact of a woman, a melanated woman. It says she looked like an African or an Aborigine. And based on that finding, they found other evidence that the war took place here, which a lot of people are saying that I'm making up this great war. But how do all these people know it? How's it in books? How does other tribes, elders or tribes know it? I'm not making this stuff up. But anyways, so they found evidence that there was a war with the Aboriginal people and an invading Mongoloid group, or a group from Asia, who came and fought these people. And Luthia um, was uh, was Aboriginal, and I think she might have fell down into a tar pit or drowned or something. I can't remember the story, but they found other evidence of other people in that same cave that she was found in. They had evidence of being shot with arrows and, of a war. So, and they found descendants of her, allegedly, who are mixed with those warring groups, the Mongoloid groups, the Asian groups. I'm not sure if that's a bad word or that's a scientific word. So, excuse me. Keep using that until I look into that. But I don't say it. I don't say the word to be offensive. I'm saying it in a scientific way, just like you're saying Negroid or Australoid or whatever. But that's basically the Great War, and they went all the way down through South America as the academic. See, this is the thing with academia. They'll find evidence of certain things, um, and then they'll backtail or spin it later after they get ridiculed or they get threatened or they lose their jobs. They'll go back on the evidence and try to say, well, no, that's not the case. We got to stick to the old narrative, the accepted narrative that these people only migrated from Asia. And those are the people who we call Native American or American Indian. And they're trying to say now that Lithia is related to these current Native Americans who are Mongoloids. But you can look at her face and you look at the old evidence and the old academic papers, and they say something totally different. Um, and I know from reading the book, it's a book called Bones, I spoke about on my Facebook Live, but the guy, um, a lot of details, and he had a lot of fear about being ridiculed and having to change his story and things like that. But he said Lithia was a black woman. She was undeniably, quote unquote, a black woman, so called black woman, melanated person. You can go see the video and you'll see her wide nostrils. You see her face. She looks like a female Bernard Hopkins, the former boxer. So I've never seen any Asians look like that. And even the Native Americans that they show trying to say this looks like her are clearly mixed people. They're clearly mixed. So, all right, let me get back to these questions. Terrence, you said off topic. I'm stuck on researching my ancestry. The mid 1900s is where Court County and Nation Records goes to a dead end. Yeah, once again, I'm hosting a class on Dina Academy for Ancestry, tracing American Indian and African American genealogy. So you might want to check that out. Terrence, you know me, so you can also inbox me as well about that. But when you get stuck like that, you got to create a checklist and make sure that you did absolutely everything possible to find what you're looking for. A lot of us, including myself sometimes, we think we searched everything and then you're like, oh, I forgot to look here and I forgot to think about this and maybe let me go check the court records again or maybe search the census for the county again, things like that. Sometimes it's an easy fix, but when we concentrate on stuff too long, we get tunnel vision, and sometimes it really comes down to us having to take a break, make a checklist, and go over everything again, you know. Someone said, "Do you trust the DNA companies that tell you where you're from?" No. Mm-mm. No, no, no. I do not trust the DNA companies. And they tell you not to trust them. They tell you it's entertainment purposes only. They tell you in the fine print, we're only testing 1% of your ancestors. So you can't possibly find out everything. Can't possibly be definitive about a region. And also, they don't take in accountability migrations. And the fact that in West Africa, a lot of those people are newly migrated to that area. So even Europe as well. A lot of people who are in Western Europe did not originate in Western Europe. They came from Eastern Europe. They came from Russia. They came from Africa. Came from America. They came from other parts of Europe, like Netherlands. The Scottish people, a lot of them migrated from Sweden. I'm a descendant from some of them way back. Somebody in my family, a dark-skinned person, actually has a condition that is only found in Swedish people. And that's a whole other thing. And probably if that person did a DNA test, Sweden will not even show up on a DNA test. Yet they have the DNA to have a condition that's only related to Swedish people. And then aesthetically, they don't look like they have any Swedish ancestry at all. So, excuse me, I meant Scandinavian, sorry. I meant Scandinavian. So Scandinavian people migrated to Scotland, and before that, some of those Scandinavian people were in Canada, which a lot of people don't know. And the people of certain tribes in Canada have that oral history. Okay, so it's a lot of stuff that this modern academia doesn't take in consideration, and they're very disrespectful towards oral history until they can find supporting evidence. And then they don't want to listen to the indigenous people of those areas about this supporting evidence. They want to do what they want to do. Starlita, you said I answered your Blackfoot question. Okay, I'm happy to help. So Westo was also slaves. Yep, Westo, they did people dirty. They did backhanded deals. They did the dirty work of the Europeans, and then the Europeans made a treaty with them, turned their back on them, slaved all of them, sent them to North Carolina as slaves. So they got screwed too. And the funny thing is that just the whole point of Indian slavery, and people trying to tell us that we're not Indian, we're not indigenous. How come none of those slaves look like these current Native Americans? It's not making any sense. So, from the current academia research, they're saying that 2.5 million American Indians from North America were sent, I think for North and South America, I'm not sure, were sent to the Caribbean as slaves. How come none of those people look like these current Native Americans? This is a question. This is a simple question. How come they look like us? People who they're labeling as Negro, Black, and colors and African American. Has anyone ever seen somebody in the Caribbean that look like Geronimo sitting near these people? The crying Indian on the commercials? No, most of them look like dark-skinned Aboriginal people or misnumbered African or misnumbered Black, right? That's a big clue right there. There's a lot of documents that I have seen of them sending American Indians to the Caribbean as slaves. They sent the whole Nansantico tribe from Virginia to Antigua. Go look at the people in Antigua. Go look at the descendants of Antigua. We're darker. Okay. Barnabas, she said, I'm proud to know that I'm Native American. I was told by my grandmother and father as a boy. That's great. What about a tribe called Quest? They're good. See, I'm a hip hop head. I like Tribe Called Quest. I actually still listening to their latest album. I don't know what that got to do with with what I'm talking about, but yeah, I listen to and the old school artists, new stuff. I'm a big Wu fan. If you consider them old school, I like Tribe. I like Big Daddy Kane, stuff like that. I still listen. Yes, I listen to Big Daddy Kane every day. Don't make fun of me. Let me see what else y'all saying. Girl, I don't know if this person English is their second language or they're just typing fast. He said also us she said also us black women get our big bone bodies from North Africa. So that's where the big butts come from. I ain't never seen a woman from North Africa with a big butt. Maybe it's just me. I think that's a human phenotype. There's certain people who have big butts, certain people who don't. There's a lot of South Africans. I think South African women have the biggest behinds in the world. So, I wouldn't think this is and women from Georgia. Georgia and South Africa. Oh my goodness, yeah. There's also Caucasian women with big butts, they just hide it. Those Eastern European women. And it depends on people's diet and stuff too, so. You ever heard or read up, Frederick Douglass' speeches when the white slave master called him Indian boy? Yeah, I actually kinda popularized that a couple years ago, and some other people ran with it. But, yeah, his Frederick Douglass's nickname was Little Indian Boy, and his mother was Indigenous. That's why he's called Little Indian Boy. Like I said, in our matrilineal society, that his, father was Caucasian or European, or he's still because his mother is an Indian. Alright? I believe she was, Algonquian. Uh, I'm not sure if she was Piscataway or whatever. Ashakan, mistranslated as Ajakan, made up the region on north. Yeah, Ajakan. Yeah, the Spanish call it Ajakan, but it's Ashakan. Yeah, and you can see the pronunciation of that is very similar to the Natal of Mexico, and that goes with I was talking about the migration. And my personal family clan, which is Algonquian, migrated from Mexico as the She people to Virginia. That's my family oral history I was told as a child. Okay, Marquia, you got a lot of questions, girl. Got a lot of, you just gonna have to sign up for the class. I might go live. I might do some live genealogy classes too. So you said so my third great grandmother on my maternal side is Seminole, and I wanted to go back to the tribe, but I can't find her maiden name before she was married. Do you know how I can do that? Finding the maiden excuse me. Finding the maiden names are kinda tricky, but it can be found. You're gonna have to find her parents, look through her siblings. You might have to trace her siblings back, check her death certificate. There's a space for parents on there. It depends on who the witness is. The witness is not a family member, doesn't know her well. It might be unknown, might not be listed. But if the witness is like a daughter or her husband or whatever, they might list her parents' name and location, where they're from, where they're born. So you can also check on the marriage certificates and marriage records. Most of the indexes are available online. You can go to your vital statistics for that state or contact the county clerk for their county to see if you can get to buy a copy and have them send it to you if you really need it. Most people, we don't really need no marriage. I mean, I don't have the marriage certificates of any of my ancestors. I don't really need it. I know they're married, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, sometimes those list, and even sometimes the marriage certificates don't list the parents. Maybe they might not know who the parents are. So, but what you need to do is contact the Seminole Nation first and see what their requirements are. before you go and do all this stuff, and see if they're even accepting applications for you waste time, and money. Does the class work for you from the Caribbean? Do you mean I cover some Caribbean ancestry? I'm not really gonna go deep into the Caribbean ancestry, but I could be able to give you some type of idea where to look. And then I might do for that class, I'm gonna continue to do bonus, lessons. So that might be a bonus lesson, and it might be a whole 'nother class, so I gotta see what I'm gonna do with that. Um, yeah. Did I check out Dark Man X video on this? On what? No, I don't really watch. Only people I watch Phoenix Moon. I watch Tavis Sanders. I watch who else do I watch? I don't really watch that many people on here. I watch Sheila Liana. I don't know who else do I watch. I don't really watch that many people. I'm really a researcher. I research for fun mostly. I'm like a nerd. I like to go to libraries, so it's exciting for me. Most like people like to go to the club and drink and do drugs or whatever. I like to go to the library. I like to read books. I like to search archives and go on the internet and search and debate people on Facebook. No, I'm kidding. I don't really debate people no more. But no, library and reading is fun for me. So I might be a square to some of y'all. But yeah, Dark Man X is cool. A lot of people vouch for Dark Man X. I only seen maybe one video of his. I don't really watch him much, but I respect what he does. Ooh, I'm missing a whole bunch of questions here. Okay, let me try to scroll through here. I'm not gonna get all y'all questions. Because I'm getting way slow. Okay. Oh, I'm way behind. Answer all your questions, but so many questions. I already done been on here for like an hour 20. Let me see. QI said West Indians and African Americans are the same. Or Black American Indians are the same, sorry. Um, Depends on the people. Some people are. Some people are the same. Some people aren't the same. That's why you have to do your own genealogy work. You don't have to come to my class. You can do your own research. Just start making your family tree. Or just asking your elders. Okay, let me see if I'm trying to scroll through this because it's a lot of questions. And a lot of y'all questions are being held for review too, because y'all saying the R word. Y'all know YouTube don't like to use the R word. They might punish me for reading your comments. But King, you keep saying the R word about women, and they don't like that. So it's getting flagged. He said you love Big Daddy Kane. Yep. Ah! Y'all check out Big Daddy Kane's song. What's it called? Oh my goodness. He got a song about Word to the Mother, Word to the Motherland. And I posted it a while ago. So his song Word to the Motherland, he's basically saying America is the motherland for him. So he said we was here before the Mayflower. So go check this. It was here before the Someone said ODB used to talk about the original people of America. He was a tribe, but yeah, he's Shinnecock. His grandfather was a chief of the Shinnecock. It's a Algonquian speaking tribe. The Pilgrims first colonized in Massachusetts. Nope, the Pilgrims, they didn't first colonize. Yeah, they did spread smallpox. What had happened was they had these type of pirate groups that would go, this was probably in the 1500s, would go up and down the coastlines and they would kidnap people. I'm gonna do this Don Louise. I'm gonna do a Don Louise video. But if you the legend of Don Louise, he was one of these was descendant of chiefs, and he was kidnapped as a teenager by one of these pirate boats. But also Squanto was one of these one of I think 3 or 4 men who were captured in these pirate ships and taken from their family. And these pirates, I don't know what they did, but they spread smallpox to the tribe um, that they belonged to. And when Squanto finally got free as a slave, I think he ran away. He came back, and the whole tribe was dead from this epidemic. So, and even before that, in the 1400s, there was some type of plague going down the East Coast that killed off a lot of Aboriginal or originating people. So yeah, that is true. But Jamestown was before Massachusetts plantation or Plymouth plantation. You said no Indians live in Massachusetts? That's not true. There was a whole bunch of Indians in Massachusetts. I'm not some of these questions I can't answer. Yeah, we had fur. We hunted. We especially the Algonquian people, the Haudenosaunee, Iroquois people. We had furs. We had leathers. We had layers of clothes. We had longhouses, which were like ovens, and wigwams, which are like ovens inside, according to the Europeans. So we stayed warm. We had sweat houses, sweat lodges, steam rooms, and things like that. So the cold wasn't a thing because in the wintertime, most people were indoors beside the men who were hunting for meat and fur. All right, let's see. How can we be Indians when India is on the other side of the ocean? Well, Kanoa, we were actually called Indians before India existed. They used to be called Hindustan or Bharat, Bharat. They were only called Indian when the British invaded and took over, which they did to many places, unfortunately. So they were called Indian after we were called Indians, or the indigenous Europeans were called Indians. Excuse me, I'm staying on cough drop. But Indian, Indian means like a dark skinned person. Indi, like indigo, from God, or whatever they call them, or not of God, depending on who's saying it. Someone says you are who your father is. Well, no, that's not how we do it in America. You are who your mother is, based on the indigenous beliefs. Someone said Carib Wars, Yamasee Wars. Yeah, those are some of the civil wars that were going on. The Caribs and the misnomer, the Arawaks, um, or Taino, were having their own wars with each other to take over the islands. After the Taino had already taken the islands away from another indigenous group who were there before them. Okay, trying to read all these questions. What about Squanto? He helped the pilgrims survive. Squanto is a complex character. Squanto became a Christian, and in Squanto's mind, he had a legion to his Christian brothers, and that's what happened. So people can call Squanto a sellout, but then you have to think, well, was Squanto really a sellout if he believed Christians were his people and not he didn't think tribally anymore? And Squanto spoke English and Latin, so he was able to communicate with the people. And I think Squanto's whole thing was survival. I mean, he had been a slave, so he was in survival mode. And it could be, yeah, you can say he had Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, I believe that. So, and the tribes that he sold out were not his people. Like I said, his people were wiped out, and everybody didn't see themselves as the same. Just like your family might not see yourself as the same as the family across the street, even though y'all live on the same street, right? Oh, no problem, Markia. I can answer your questions if I see them. Trying to make people moderators. I don't know how to use this stuff. I'm new to the chats. I don't know how to do that. See, I can add you as a moderator. All right. You what? See, I just made you a moderator, cuz. All right. Let me see if I can find some more questions. You said the eclipse of the moon's going on. Yeah, that's the wolf moon. Fly C, you said they have an Indian mound in Georgia, but the Europeans claim and dress them like Indians. Well, that's a whole different subject. Who do the mounds belong to? They admit that the Native Americans aren't the mound builders. And if you follow the trail, like I said, the She people, or what they misnomer Olmecs and the Mayans who mixed in with them, they they're the ones who built those. The Mississippians, they built the mounds, not people from Asia. And even the Asian tribes will admit that they did not build the mounds. You said dark-skinned people are still trying to claim that they're Indians. When you try to tell them they're not, they get offended. It's not making sense. When the Indians were dark-skinned, Indians were tawny too, very dark-skinned. So you can't really tell people who they are. Some people know who they are. I mean, that's why I try not to tell people who they are. You don't know who's in their family tree or what culture they come from. So we gotta stop trying to tell everybody who they are. And that's not, something that people did here before colonization either. So some of y'all know that. All right, King. I just told you, you keep saying the R word, they keep blocking you. So I'm not gonna keep on hiding it. Okay. I'm trying to look through all these. It's a lot. So if I don't answer your question, you might have to repeat it. Let's not start arguing in the chat now. Oh, child. It's the same. Where did the indigenous people get the science of building pyramids from? That's a good question. Maybe themselves. Or y'all think it's aliens? Ancient aliens? Oh, man. I believe they got it from themselves. We were we had advanced civilizations in the past, and that's something that the European academia does not like to admit. Even in their own areas, they had advanced civilization. And I think they're kind of holding back information because they want to keep us under control and not thinking that we can amount to much in our lane, in this system. So I'm trying to catch these questions. Do I have knowledge of the Crete Indians? I'm not sure what the Crete Indians are. It could be the Cree Indians or it could be the Creek Indians. Yeah, what region are these Indians from? Oh gosh, there's a lot of comments here. A lot of comments for only 74 people watching. Let's see. Olmecs are Lemurians and the Egyptians are Atlanteans. No. Atlantis is America's. The actual island was off in the Atlantic Ocean, and Algonquian people have an oral tradition of jumping off that island to the mainland. And, that could be mythology as well. But the Atlanteans are the Algonquian people. And that's a whole we got y'all gave me so many ideas to do videos because I could be here all night answering these questions. I can go live again or create videos to answer some of these. My answers are described as Crete Indian in a book. Is that a misnomer for creek? Yeah, it could be creek. If you're from the South, it's creek. If you're from the North, it's probably Cree. Someone said the oldest pyramids are in Egypt. No, the oldest pyramids are in America. And there's also pyramids other places. There's pyramids in Bosnia. There's pyramids in China. Pyramids in Southeast Asia. different pyramids, other places that they're not telling you about. All those pyramids in Sudan, they don't tell you about as well. And we have a whole bunch of pyramids all through the Americas that they don't speak of. They only talk about Mexico. But there's pyramids in North America and Canada and stuff too. Someone said if you were married back then and you didn't please your wife, it was up to her to divorce you. And you come home and find all your belongings on the front of the teepee. Uh, yeah, that is funny. I actually saw a video about the Lenape and how the Lenape women would do when they were mad at their man. The man would come home, he would find all his stuff out on the front in front of the house in a leather bag or whatever, in a basket, just like how we do just like how the melanated women do now, putting all your stuff in a trash bag, throw it out the window, front of the house, out there looking like, what's that one video? Was that Ja Rule video? Oh, the Ashanti video when she throwing all the stuff out. That's how, that's how the indigenous women did that. The Lenape, the Algonquian, the Hanisani, Muskogee. Gonna put your stuff out. I have never done that though, so I've never done that. Do I know anything about the Lumbee tribe? Yes, the Lumbee tribe are, oh, sorry, I hit the microphone. Lumbee tribe are from, they're actually located in North Carolina now. A lot of the tribe migrated down from Virginia, and they descend from the Pamunkey people. They descend from Cherokee people. I believe some Sapani. Depends on your family. That's why you got to do your genealogy. So the Lumbee is a new tribe. It's a mixed tribe. Different tribes mixed in. But the core towns and stuff down there were Pamunkey or Powhatan towns, Algonquian speakers. And then those who migrated from Virginia were of Pamunkey descent as well. But you might be better off asking the actual Lumbee because people have their own different identities, but in the research that's who they're descended from, different groups. And the name changed several times. And they were called the Cherokee at one time, even though they have Algonquian ancestry. And from the area was Algonquian. So from Washington State or Montana. Yeah, the Lakota, or what they call them, Dakota. They're from Montana. Washington State. There's a couple tribes over there. There's actually some Algonquian tribes in Washington State, which people don't know. People don't think Algonquians were over there. And I believe those people are descended from the Lenape, but I'm not sure. So I can tell you I'm not Lenape, so I'm not sure. But they are Algonquian speaking. I think there's 3 Algonquian speaking tribes still over there. I don't know why people talking about Egyptian pyramids in this chat. This is supposed to be about Aboriginal Americans. Somebody said you better call Tyrone. Yeah, you better call him and come get your out of these trash bags, these deer bags. You better come get your ish out of these deer bags, clay pots. Probably gonna cut up his moccasins and threw them out. Tore up and stole his wampum. Okay, I'm trying to read these questions. Yes, the pyramids of America predate anything in Africa. Also, mounds, which my boy Elijah Spencer kind of put out a couple years ago. Underneath a lot of these mounds are pyramids, stone pyramids, or stone structures. Underneath these mounds aren't just the piles of dirt. They had spiritual meaning. They had functional meaning for the tribe. They were used for ceremonies and different things. So they're not just piles of dirt. They're not primitive. They're very sophisticated. All right, y'all in here arguing. Yes, I have a video about the Mingos. I have several. I think I have 2 up now, but I'm gonna make another one and speak about the Mingos' involvement with the slave trade, which a lot of people don't know. I found some primary documents, and they had a similar history to the Westo with these them making these deals with these Europeans and enslaving their enemies for guns and stuff. A dirt mound is a dirt mound. No, no, it's stone masonry under these dirt mounds. And some of the time, the dirt is just there because of no one kept up the maintenance. As in the case of Mexico, a lot of these pyramids that they're taking pictures of and putting on these posters were dirt mounds until the actual people excavated them and took the dirt away. And I believe some of the Europeans actually covered up the pyramids with the dirt. Someone said, UB News have you niggas saying pyramids are fake. What? I don't know. I never heard him say that. Talk about crystals. Oh, crystals were a very important part of our culture, spiritually and warfare. We use crystals and arrow points, crystal knives. We use crystals for healing, things like that. Some people put crystals in their drinking water. We had cups and things, which people don't realize. We had, eating utensils and plates and bowls and containers, clay pot containers and stuff like that. So we were sophisticated. And it's kind of like, for the woodland Indians, it's kind of like they kind of wanted to tone it down. They want to go back to nature from their old, more advanced civilization. And some of the people stayed down in Mexico or Canada or wherever they were with these different places. And that's another thing. The people kind of migrated around, and when people mixed in dialects and tribe, because of course people had to marry. You couldn't marry within your clan because that was considered incest. You couldn't marry your family members. That was considered incest until more recent times, maybe less than 100 years ago. And incest was taboo, and it was punishable. If you were to marry a family member or have a sexual relation with them, it was punishable and really looked down on. So you couldn't even marry clan, and clan might even not even be directly related to you either. So I don't know what y'all talking about. Pyramids is fake. You could clearly people have touched the pyramids. They've seen them. I mean, they're fake. They're there. It's mathematics to it. Do you have knowledge of Mingo Indians of South Carolina? Well, if you watch my videos, the history of the Mingos, you will see that the Mingos migrated down from Ohio Valley in New York. And, that could be another reason why in our Great Migration in recent times, a lot of us from the South moved up to New York and Chicago and Ohio. Okay. I'm sorry for that funny accent. I'm trying to be funny. Yeah, but we migrated up there. So it's like some people were going back home in a sense. But like I said, those people before they were in the Ohio Valley, they were and down in the Mississippi Valley and down in the Yucatan Peninsula and before that in in the South, South America or Canada or wherever. So we moved around, and when the people move around and they mixed and intermarried, they became new tribes, new dialects, like I said. All right, let me see. Trying to get through some of these questions. Miss Sugar Baker, you said, thank you for your videos researching for and found both sets of my maternal grandparents and great grandparents' surname, paternal grandmother's surname on Powhatan, Cherokee Rose. Okay. And you gotta be careful with that Powhatan Cherokee thing because Powhatan and Cherokee were two different groups. And at one time we were rivals. Like we were literally killing each other. So Powhatan Cherokee, that's a new invention. So you gotta be careful with that one too. I would double check and look for other resources as well, just to be on the safe side. So you got an uncle named Mingo. Yeah, Mingo in Iroquois, the Mohawk language means a dark-skinned person, a so-called black person. That's what Mingo means. Third rec, you're way late. Go back and watch the video. Aboriginal does not mean not original. We looked up the etymology. We looked up the dictionary definitions. Everyone, you coming in here late, and that's not correct. So just go back and watch the video, and you'll see the evidence of what we're saying. I wish y'all would talk about me in other people's chat. Y'all keep talking about EB News. I sure wish y'all would share my videos and talk about me in other people's chat. I swear every time I do a live, y'all talking about somebody else. I don't see y'all talking about Phoenix either. Not talking about Achia Yana either. So let's see. Oh my goodness. Trying to read these questions kind of mumbled up here. I'm about to sign off soon 'cause I'm getting tired. You said you know what you got to spell etymology right. Maybe you're looking up the wrong thing. Etymology is spelled with a Y. Etymology. That's what we look up. We looked up the etymology of Aboriginal. It means the earliest inhabitants. Let me switch so you can see because you're a little late. Let me go back to share screens. You can go back for the people who coming on late. Y'all coming back from the bar or the movies and watching the football or whatever. I don't know what everybody's doing. Y'all laughing at me now? Tasha, the trolls is talking about other people in Egypt. I don't know why they talking about Egypt. We ain't got nothing to do with Egypt. Okay, Aboriginal etymology. Etymology, Etymology. Original inhabitants. You see that? I'm sorry about the hard breathing because like I said, I got a cold, y'all. So I got these cough drops and can't breathe out my mouth. Webster's Dictionary, Aboriginal, being the first or earliest known of its kind present in the region. All right, Indigenous, earliest of time, relating to Aborigines. Aboriginal, inhabiting or existing in the land from the earliest times or from the arrival of colonists. Indigenous. This is etymology. This is a law book. The law definition. Pertaining to things or land or person or members of a race which are indigenous to or first occupied a specific territory. Indigenous, Indian, Métis, Inuit, Aboriginal title. Okay, Aboriginal is a title. First or earliest, so far as history or science gives record, the earliest known inhabitants distinguished from subsequent European colonists. Cambridge, having lived or existed in a place since the earliest known time. Aboriginal. Let's see what else loads up. Of, relating to, or typical of Aborigines. Original or earliest known native indigenous. Etymologyonline.com. 1660s, first earliest existent from the beginning, especially in reference to inhabitants of lands colonized by Europeans, Aborigines. All right. The noun meaning an original inhabitant or a tachan. All right. So no more long talky. I'll stop sharing now. All right. So now that we got the definition out and the etymology out, is any more questions? D, you said I'm going in tonight. You know I'm being nice. You've seen my Facebook lives. I'm being nice. I'm being nice. I love y'all. Y'all not calling me names today. Yeah, I know I be getting hecklers on Facebook. Y'all nice on YouTube. Unless I'm posting a regular video. They're nice. All right. Thank you, Robert, and tell me the rest. You said, Fred, you said you got dropped in a coal mine. Oh, thank you. I enjoy chatting with you guys. Be safe out there. It's kind of cold. If you're on the East Coast, I know it's cold. That wind is dangerous. You can be down in the mines. All right, good night. Yeah, you can watch the rest. I'm about to sign off soon too, but whatever you miss, you can watch it later. You said get some raw honey and garlic. Oh, yes, I am. I'm gonna do that in a minute. I got my little got my ginger too. I have roasted some garlic and I've been eating all that this week, or I would be worse than I would be on mute right now. I wouldn't be able to talk if I wasn't eating the garlic. Yeah, but my heat went out. My heat went out on the upstairs level, and that's why I got sick. So they got to order part and all this stuff for the holiday. So it might not be till Tuesday. But I got my Origine hoodie on. uh, the red skin one, and I'm warm, so I'm good. You said you didn't go hard with your yeah, but, I didn't give you the moderation thing. I didn't know how to do it, so it was late until I gave it to you. You're doing a good job. You said the New pyramids are said to be the oldest. Yeah, that's from what the Europeans know. We're not even sure. Like a lot of stuff, especially in the rainforest, is covered up. The Amazon has a lot of pyramids that they're not telling anybody about. Probably about like a 50 to 100 of them still not found, or at least they're not telling us. Because y'all got to remember, all the pyramids line up with the star system, and the star system is also within you as well. The alignment. It's a whole nother subject. So your grandfather's from Barbados? Man, what was the question? I'm sorry. You said, my grandfather is from Barbados, grandmother's Ethiopian. My dad is a real, you said real nigga from Tacoma, Washington. What? We in Tacoma, Washington. That's outside Seattle, right? Yeah, Barbados, there's a lot of American Indians sent to Barbados as slaves. And also, Ethiopians came as free people and worked on the plantations or worked within those areas as business people. I actually know somebody who's descendant from Seminoles and Ethiopians who were living in the islands, and they were tailors. They had a tailoring business, and their clients were the slave masters. And of course, sometimes they got things made for the slaves as well. But yeah, Guyana is Bahian. Yeah, she's related to the Fenties, Mayor Fenty of DC, and all them. See, someone just said Ethiopians got no African descent. Don't they live in Africa? I think they're African. Many in Many Indians from Barbados migrated out working the seas and fishing and whaling. Yep, that's true, and the Algonquins as well. Algonquins fished and whaled all the way as far as Hawaii and out that way. Those islands over there, the South Pacific. All right, I'm trying to get a couple more questions in. Yep, all the way to Australia too. Yep, yep. The Shinnecock and a lot of the northern tribes talk about the whaling. The men would be gone for like 3 to 4 years whaling. So your grandfather from Barbados lived in Canada. I don't know why he moved up there. It's so cold. Could have been going back home. Could have been going home. Said my father's a shark hunter and a fisherman. Yeah, that's hard to do. People act like it's easy. It's not easy to be fishing, especially in the ocean. You said I have a nice voice. Thank you. That's all right. You said you have Algonquian roots from Carolinas. You got the Taino roots too, and Some of the Tainos came and intermarried with the Algonquins. You said Brandon said be on the lookout for email. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at checking my emails. It's so overwhelming sometimes. I still gotta get back to people. I think I responded to some people the other day. Yo Ma, you said your family has tried and wrote about the case in a book, but we were denied the land because our quote unquote white half claimed we didn't have stake in the land. You might need a real estate lawyer. And your family might have to. I will contact one. Try to get a consultation. See what's up. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to give them a call. That Yazoo Indian was the first to circumnavigate the world by water. It's kind of hard to say who was the first to do that because people have been doing that for so long before they give people credit for doing that. So, and I really believe there were seafarers from all continents. Yep, West Indians have American Indian roots because they shipped them to the islands. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna close that out soon. Please share the video out. You know, more you share, the more people see the information, the more I'm gonna feel up to doing live streams and chatting with y'all, answer your questions. So let's see some more closing questions, and I'm gonna be out. So the Mexican is not the real Indians, or did they evolve to be Indians because of their ancestors? That's a good question. It's really down to who you consider Mexicans. And most people consider the mestizo people as Mexicans, and those people are mixed people. That's what mestizo means. So, and then a lot of them people y'all call them Mexicans have a lot of European ancestry. And when they answer the race question on questionnaires, a lot of them check white, but y'all call them Mexican and stuff. They check white. You say Ethiopians came over the Mississippi. I'm not sure about that. I know they came to the island to work in the 1700s. And this person that I'm talking about, their family moved to Florida. And they said that there was a community of these Ethiopian people in Florida. And some of them intermarried with the Seminoles. And this woman is part Seminole and part Ethiopian. And they passed that oral tradition down. You said good night. Yeah, I'm about to get off because D said all high civilizations travel the world. America in particular, ancient Minoa, ancient Phoenicians, Ming Dynasty, Mansa Musa, Malian Moors, Mu, etc. Yeah, you're right about that. Thank you, Charles. I'm trying to get better. Alright, you said we're even the original Danes and Rush as far as traveling go. Yeah, that's what I was speaking about the, Scandinavian people. Scandinavian people used to be melanated, and some of them came from Canada, from the Americas, and I have some of that ancestry of those people, the people they call the Vikings. Yeah, example would be Eric the Red, like, it's giving it away right there. Eric the Red was an American Indian, and I've actually had a teacher tell me that when I was little. She went to Scandinavia on vacation, and she was talking to the people, and they were like, "The Vikings were American Indians." That's what they told her. Eric the Red, they said Eric the Red was a black man. So what is that telling you? If the Vikings were American Indians and Eric the Red, the most famous Viking, was a black man, what is that telling you? That's from the Scandinavian people. So I'm not making none of that up. Somebody said clubs are popping in 1930s. What is going on? Y'all just coming from the club for real? Y'all talking about clubs popping in 1930s? Y'all wild. You wild, ma. You who said that? I thought it was your ma. Anaria. You wild, Anaria. Yeah, Scandinavian people, yeah. Not all of them. Some of those people are newly migrated to them. So that's what people are not taking in accountability, the migrations of people. Like I said earlier, I have a family member who's dark skinned, like a regular American, so-called African American, and they have a condition that only Scandinavian people have. Yeah, go ahead, do some research on Eric the Red and all them, the Vikings. You saying you didn't get how they met is ran Lemuria. They met at them popping clubs, I guess. Joseph, you said from your research, African got its culture from South America. A lot of crops they have was introduced from the Americas. Yeah, a lot of crops are from the Americas that they have. Probably the majority of the food, the vegetables that they import are from America. A lot of dishes have tomatoes and cassava, and all their famous dishes have American ingredients in it. All right, y'all. So I'm calling it a night. You said all of Europe was melanated before the barbarians. Yep, indigenous Europeans. Yep. You said red meant brown back in those days. Yep, Eric the Brown. Yep, he was brown skin. All right. Well, maybe we can expound on that on another video. But I'm just gonna say good night to y'all and thank you for tuning in. Please share the video. And, let me know. I might put a poll up there. Let me know what type of videos you want me to do next, and what topics you want me to cover. All right. Well, good night, y'all. And Wingapo.